All right, everyone. This is Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge, and today I have a very special guest on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast, Cristina Bruno-Dalola. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. You did. You
Okay,
even put that last name in there. Thank you.
no problem. You froze a little bit there. I think we're gonna be good though. But yeah, so I'm glad to have you on the podcast. Finally, I think we've been trying to make this happen for quite a while, but my schedule
Yeah,
has been bananas. Um,
I know. I
yeah.
even have some followers that were like, "You're gaslighting us." I'm like, "I promise you, it will happen. It we just have to settle on the date."
Yeah, it's just timing. Everything is just timing. And what happens to, unfortunately, I get a lot of last second bookings. People will
Hmm.
call me like, 48 hours out, sometimes 3 or 4 days out. And, some of these things you just can't turn down because they're pretty huge. And sometimes if you turn them down, then you kind of get on the turn down list, with
I
some of these
know.
bigger
I
projects. And
know
so it's
that
kind
that
of a,
would be me. I run away from them.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to balance. It's like, if I say no to this, and then it's a small community, so everyone knows everyone, and so the next
And
thing you know,
then
you're
you
not
went on that podcast, but not on mine. You came to my event, but not on yours.
right.
Yeah,
You
they get
get it.
offended.
It becomes this little. I guess they have this competition or this little envy thing going on, or whatever, So I
Yes,
try to keep everybody happy, but at some point, somebody gets let down somewhere along the way. But
exactly.
anyway, welcome to the podcast. Can you introduce yourself for my peoples and just let them know who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm a published author and researcher. I really don't like to talk about myself, but I'm more known as a content creator, and I have been called the female Billy Carson,
Okay.
and I'm always like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I started doing my videos by
Mm-hmm.
chance, actually. I was
Mm-hmm.
more into the writing, researching the Anunnaki because I had a little bit of some past life memories, and I wanted to see if they actually existed in history, and
Mm.
that's how I got into it. And I
Okay.
came across the Zechariah Stitchin books, which I was like, wait, I know these stories. So I kind of looked. And then one day I was on TikTok and I saw a video that someone made, and they were calling reptilians a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, no, that ancient history. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
theory. And I made a video about that. And it blew up and went viral. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second. What if all of these years of what I've been researching and reading, what I've experienced, I did that so I could share it with other people? Because they don't have hundreds and thousands of hours to read or research.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll read 5 books at a time. So that's how it started. I was already an artist. I also create realistic fantasy costumes, mermaids, fairies, goddesses, things like that. Everything I'm attracted to that resonates. So, writer, and before this is my retired years, I call them. And before this, I was an international fitness model in Italy and Europe. And I also had my own little TV show where we'd go around places. So I traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything falls in place. I always said I've always been really lucky at being in the right with everything. Like I don't chase things; they just like come, and then I adapt.
Okay.
So, and right now I'm just working on my Anunnaki book, which is more like, you know how they did an interview with a vampire?
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that, but like interview with an Anunnaki princess,
Okay.
which I'm very attracted to Ninhursag or Ishtar, things like that. So it's going to be like her perspective of things, and I'm also combining the Sumerian tablets with what came later, like Greek mythology, Hebrew with the Jewish mysticism. Like I've connected a lot of dots personally just by being attracted to these stories. And then I'm like, oh, wait, she's this one and that's this one.
Yeah.
And then when I subscribed to Gaia, I met you. And I was like, oh, wow. And the things you were saying were the conclusions that I had come up with. And I'm like, you were my validation. For so many. And then when I discover something, I'll make a video about it. And someone goes, Billy Carson said that. You copied him. I'm like, I did not. We're just researching the same things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
and you know what? That happens a lot. People still tell me, oh, they'll name somebody who came before me, and so said that. I'm like, okay, well, we're researching similar information in the same field of study, and so it's normal to come to some of the same conclusions.
Well, absolutely. Also, nobody patented the Emerald Tablets or the Anunnaki or all the other ancient scriptures. It's no one's. Then we all we read it, we resonate with it, and we can also have our personal interpretations. But that doesn't mean that you're wrong and I'm right, or I'm right and you're wrong. I love bouncing ideas off of each other. See what I mean? I think that's how you get to the truth also. Yeah. So what if a Billy Carson on the other side of the world and a Cristina Bruno over here, which were both well known, you more than I, of course, but what if we're saying the same thing and we got to the same conclusions? Isn't that validation?
That's great.
See what yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually good.
Like when you did the podcast with that West kid, I came in your defense. And the reason is this. You cannot debunk something if we don't even believe in the same things. And I don't care when something was written down. That doesn't give it validation for me. He's very focused on historical, when was it written, and if the mainstream historians accept it. I don't do that. First of all, we're half spiritual and psychic, so we feel things. So if I believe in the book of Mary Magdalene, and I know that there are truths in it, I don't care when it was written. Also, the first 300-400 years of Christianity, from one little town to another, they didn't even teach the same things. They didn't even, like, even in Italy, I was born in America, but I grew up in Europe, in Italy specifically, and then after 18, I traveled all around. But from one little town to another, we don't even speak the same language, like, to this current day. So this is my thing on that. A lot of the stories were spread mouth to mouth. A lot of people, the people that were not like high society, they didn't even know how to write or read. So my theory is that they decided to write that story down one day when even the peasants could write and learn and say, you know, this is a very important story. Let me write this down. So it's not going to be written down when it occurred.
No.
And that doesn't matter. And that's exactly what I said. Because I don't agree with any of these people that this is true, this is not true. And who says you?
Yeah,
who says that it's not true? You?
Yeah, I mean, the guy called himself a PhD, and he's not even a PhD. That was number one.
No, he's a Gen Z. He's a Gen, that's it.
Yeah.
They do that. They
just make up stuff. And then some real PhDs and doctors contacted him, and they were very upset because real PhDs don't like it when people front like that. And they said to him,
I was watching and I was like, I didn't see it when it happened. I saw it after people told me about it. I'm like, no, how can you debunk someone if I did the same research? And then when I saw it, I'm like, please, let's rephrase this. It's not debunking. We just have totally different concepts of it.
No debunking. And
you are very polite.
The book that he had on his shelf that he said was the Codex Sinaiticus that had the crucifixion in it. He just made that up.
But the thing is this:
it finally came out that he made it up.
You think it was a coincidence if that book was right there at that time?
No, it was a setup. The whole thing was the people, they set me up. They knew I was coming over there. That's why he never pulled the book off the shelf and opened it. When they contacted him, the real professor contacted him and told him why, they don't like that kind of word salad and that kind of fabrication, especially it took them years to get their degrees. And he said, well, there's another text that was written around that time. So I knew that if I can cut and paste the crucifixion, it fits in the empty space in the Codex Sinaiticus. They were like, what did you just say? So they made a video called Billy Carson Was Right. These real professionals, these real PhDs and doctors.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, and the video went viral. Yeah.
No, I didn't like how the entire, and I made a video, mine went viral too, where I said exactly this. He has a different belief system from like me, and I'm very similar to you in that. So my thing was this: I personally will never care when something was written, what date it was. I follow what I resonate with, and I haven't been wrong so far. So
Yeah.
to
You're on
each their
track. I love
own.
your work. Yeah, you're doing good. I love your work. And what
Oh,
I like
thank
about you,
you.
sometimes you and I don't agree on everything. And you know what?
Exactly.
That's okay.
And that's okay. Maybe if we're in the same place and we're talking, one of us will convince the other with some things that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, my thing is, like, a lot of times I said, I don't agree where you said just very little minimum things that are not important to the entire story.
Mhm.
But 95% of the storyline, the timeline that you have is exactly what I came up with.
Mhm.
And not because I saw you first, because I first learned these things because I said I didn't even know any of you existed. I thought I was the only one in the world thinking these things
Yeah.
until I discovered online there were more things. I watched all of your conferences. I really enjoy those from years ago.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you. Yeah.
enjoy those.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
as I said, you were the validation. I'm like, okay, I'm onto something.
Yeah.
This is not by chance.
No.
And
It's a
then
lot of.
again, who knew that when I went to look into the occult and Jewish mysticism and got all wrapped up with Lilith, that there was a Sumerian connection also.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's when it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then when you go into Greek mythology, now growing up in Italy and Europe, we are taught Roman and Greek mythology in school. It's part of our history classes. We don't really call it mythology. A lot of us believe it. And the Mediterranean, we were all pagans before, until they came around and said, will you convert or off with
Yes.
your head?
Yeah.
So
Either or. That's all you had a choice. Either or. That's it.
that was the choice. That was the entire choice.
Mhm.
Either you convert to the monotheistic God, and then at the same time, I laugh because of the irony. The monotheistic God is Marduk, is Ra.
Mhm.
That's where it came from. And I'm like, so basically, it's paganism, but rebranded, resold. See what I mean? And I've heard you say similar things. It is what it is. And I'm so happy because so many people are really embracing this. Like it makes.
Yeah, you froze a little bit there for a second, but at
Oh,
the very,
sorry.
very end, though, you said people are really embracing this. Yeah. So,
Yes,
no, it's
they
beautiful. Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
They are.
And,
But
one thing that people are starting to realize, and now it's actually starting to be taught in school. This is just crazy. I know somebody that's in high school right now, and he was taught about the Sumerians. And also my son, who's only 25, he graduated a few years back, obviously, but not too far back. And how he got into spirituality was his history class made them read the entire Epic of Gilgamesh and do a report on it.
that's good.
And once he did the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I never heard of in school at all, and this
No.
other gentleman that I know now also who's still in high school, they're forcing him into Sumerian studies, learning all about the fact that they, created the first streets with roads and the bicameral Congress, the currency system. So many firsts that came out of that area that popped up overnight. It's almost as if they were just a desert hunter-gatherer culture, and then one day, boom, high civilization just existed instantaneously with politics and money and law and city centers, and all this just came out of nowhere.
Engineering, exactly. They went from nothingness to, and I always explain that too. If you look at the theory of Darwin, first of all, let's remember it's called the theory of Darwin because it's just a theory. It doesn't mean it's proven. Listen to the words I tell people. There is at least a millennia gapping of evolution between the bipedal hominid and Homo sapiens sapien. I used to think, how do these people not see it? I used to think like there's something wrong with people because they're not seeing it. And I'm a little girl when I'm processing these things. Also, when I was little, people would say the pyramids are tombs. And I went to Catholic school, uniform and all. And I'd look at them and I'd stand up and I'd go, no, they're not. They produce energy. How did I know? Because fast forward now they've proven it. Even Russian scientists have built facsimile, the prototypes of pyramids, and they do produce energy. But there's a lot more to it. But just saying, instinctively, in my DNA memory, I like to say past life memories. A lot of people accept the DNA memory way of terminology better, either or for me. I knew it. There was something inside of me that knew it. It just all makes sense. Another thing that was, even before I got into these things, if you look at different civilizations across the world that never met each other ever, they had never communicated. They have the same sculpted symbolism, the same, I don't know how to say it in English. English is my second language, that's why.
Okay. They have a lot of the same artifacts, the same.
Yes, artifacts, bravo, artifacts, hieroglyphs, just the imagery in general. And also when I look at things like this, where other people see like a scribble, I see machinery. I don't see things like other people see. Like if somebody looks at a fish in ancient history, I'm like, no, that's not necessarily what it means. There's more to it. And I just see the technology there. They're the same people drawn all over the world, represented all over the world, and they weren't talking to each other. Then you go and grab books like the Book of Enki, or even the Anunnaki Chronicles, which a lot of people love to say that Zachariah Stitchin was debunked, and I'm like, by who? People that are trying to convince you otherwise? I don't care. Another thing that backs him up is that lots of other people since him have done the same translations and come up with the same conclusions. The Rothschilds themselves had a private collection that they released to the Museum of Liechtenstein, and it's there. The translations, even on Wikipedia, coincide with the Anunnaki Chronicles. So I don't think they're debunked anymore. There are too many of us that are like, no, wait a second. I mean, there's something true in it. And if so many of us resonate with it on a soul level, that in my house is called DNA memory.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You know, Zachariah Sitchin was very interesting because he chronicled the ability for the Anunnaki, or the fact that the Anunnaki came here, number one, and then engaged mankind and helped install civilization here. But if you read his books and you've read them, every so many paragraphs, he gives his source as to where that information or that his understanding or perception of that information came from. So throughout the entire book, I do that too. Yes, thank you. I learned it from Zach. I copied Zachariah.
Your book on the Emerald Tablets. I loved how you did that. I noticed that.
I copy the same technique because that way people can go, oh, this is why he came up with this idea. Oh, this is why he comes up with this theory or whatever. And people who try to say, you know, oh, he just made all this stuff up. Well, first of all, Zachariah Sitchin didn't translate any ancient texts and tablets. He only took existing translations that were done back in the 1800s. So that's one lie, to say he's the only person that could translate tablets.
He wasn't even the first one. In the 1800s, there was someone else. I made a video on it. I don't remember his name.
Smith. We had George Smith, E.A. Spire. We had all these people who came out and translated these ancient Sumerian tablets, you know, before he was even in his daddy's sack. So
exactly. What he did was he combined his knowledge of the Hebrew language and added that there. And that was genius, because a lot of the Hebrew history and religion was, I don't know if we want to say plagiarized or borrowed or inspired by the Sumerian text. That was the first religion. And in my opinion, all other religions came after that, because that is the first focal point, as we said before. You went from a bipedal hominid to all of a sudden there are perfect, beautiful people with no hair. They're building cities, aqueducts. They're engineering things. They're planting. You know what I tell people? Do you think that you learned how to plant because you just started nibbling on whatever grass you found? That's impossible. You couldn't do. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
Even a
not at
lot of
all.
animals. Why is Earth the planet that has the most amount of animals? Like even just with the research that there is,
Hmm.
this planet has way too many species of animals.
Hmm. Yeah. Now,
And
there's a lot of Sumerian cylinder scrolls that show that the Sumerians were handed down the plow from these quote unquote gods. There's
yes,
actually a cylinder scroll showing them, handing them the plow, showing them how to use the
use
plow
it.
so they can revolutionize agriculture and food production. They also introduced to them seed drills so they can do, plant seeds in a rapid pace. Crop rotation is in the Sumerian tablets. Domesticated animals, how to do animal husbandry, and
The,
the act of actually
yep.
teaching how to become, a shepherd. All that's in the tablets, and then of course even how to
Yes.
make beer.
And
The very
especially
first
the
beer.
cow. That's why the cow was sacred.
Yeah,
Because it's not from here. It was something people are like, no, the cow came. No, it didn't. It literally says that it was brought for
yeah,
a means to feed these people also.
right.
So
That's
just
what it says.
imagine it's just like us. We
Hmm.
go on another planet. We find let's just pretend that we're the Anunnaki. We
Hmm.
need to fabricate this worker slave race because our astronauts were like, no, we didn't sign up for this. This is way too much labor. It had to go on for a year, and it kept on going on and on and on. So we all know those stories, the revolt of the Igigi and all the other stuff.
Hmm.
But once they're, so we're gonna, if we're the Anunnaki, we go to another planet. Just this is how I explain to people, and they understand. I'm going to create, uh, let's say the Adamo. I created him. Yes, he's my pet. He's my child. He's part of me. I put my DNA into it. Now that we're going to make other ones, and this is when all the fertility goddesses started coming down from Nibiru, but they're not goddesses. They were like nurses, medics.
Yeah.
That's who was coming down,
Yeah.
sacrificing themselves to bear these pregnancies forth, because that was the only way that they had figured out how to do it. You know the story. I feel so weird telling you the story.
No, we're telling them the story. You're
Yes.
talking about now the Hathors that came down and were in the birthing houses in Egypt, which I take people
Yes.
to the birthing houses when we go to Egypt, the place where the Anunnaki women, these nursemaids really that came down and used to have these mass production of birthing.
Yes, they're like surrogates. Like they volunteered to do this. Sorry.
Yeah.
So now that we have these people, let's say that we created all these people, we need to teach them. We need to teach them how to do our things. And that's exactly what the drawings are showing us. They're giving us this knowledge. They're teaching us how to use it. Then when you even go into religion, you have the fallen angels that were teaching us metallurgy and how to alchemy and this and that. Then after with religions, it became frowned upon. But originally, they were evolving us. They were educating us. Then I don't know why all of a sudden it had to become a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the problem was they started fighting.
Didn't want everyone smart.
Well, they started fighting with each other and fighting over control of humans and resources. So they had this warring gene inside of them, which you can see it kind of passed down to us. Obviously, we clearly have their DNA in us because we got the forever wars on Earth. But in some way, this jealousy and envy between the different relatives, and this warring and this fighting that was starting to build up, it's what really messed everything up. I think it got off to kind of a good start, but then but all that happened, and then the wars were just too much.
Just watch any royal family here, like even the TV shows of the fictional royals.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a royal family from another civilization doing their little games and things here. Yeah. I don't call them gods. I call them the Nibiru royalty. Something that I love to make videos about and talk about that no one ever does is the history on Nibiru before they ever came to Earth. There is so much telenovela drama. It's so juicy. They started off as, well, at least the tablets, I think it's the Book of Enki that tells the story of their planet. And it shows how initially they were like us, and then they formed tribes, and then there were allegiances made, and all of a sudden it was like north against south.
Yeah.
It sounded just like the history of Earth, just in a prehistoric, cool, goddessy way, like, you know, the Greek gods. Imagine everybody dressed like that, / Viking types. That's the vibe I was getting for these wars.
Yeah.
Did the war between the North and the South, and then when
it's
everything was, yes, and when everything was ruined, they basically were destroying themselves and the planet. They said, hold on, truce. We got to find a solution. And they decided to pick a king and queen. If the king was going to be from the north, the queen would have been from the south, or vice versa. They ended up picking a king named Anu from the north, which was like a general or something. I don't know why I'm dinging. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But this isn't the Anu that everybody knows now. This is his predecessor, the first Anu. And then the wife was chosen from the south, and that's how they united the north and the south. And then their dynasty starts. And it's fascinating. I love the stories. It's so gossipy. And then the children, and that's the part I love the most, the telenovela part. I want to know who these people were. I also discovered that plural marriage comes from the Anunnaki. It's not something that was born here. Because of these wars that basically had taken out the majority of men, there were like 7 women per man at the time on the planet. So their solution was to have multiple wives and also concubines so that the men could take care of the women. And that's where it all started.
That's where it started. It just transmitted from there to here, and they put they installed the same exact system here and okayed it. And that's why in the Bible there are men that have concubines and wives and everything else. That's where it came from. You know, if you look in the
some
Old
cultures still do now.
Oh yeah,
look at the Saudis, and they have multiple wives.
Yep.
A lot of. But I thought that was cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's where it started. Standard.
One thing that I noticed from prior to them getting here, and you know, being from Nibiru, and I think that Nibiru, in my personal opinion, is just one of the planets that they inhabited when they fled. I believe they all left the Pleiadian star system due to some wars.
I read the mythology about that.
Yeah, and Nibiru is just one of them, you know. But on this planet, you see that they had risen to a high level of civilization, and they got to the point of using nuclear type weapons. I won't say they didn't say the word nuclear, but the description of these weapons were very similar to what we call nuclear weapons.
The weapons of power,
they were called the weapons of mass destruction. Yeah.
And initially they had made those because they wanted to get through the hammered bracelet. Because in their mythology, Ki, Earth, had veins of gold. And they knew that because of the history. They believed that our solar system, that all of the planets were gods. And they gave each planet a name of one of their royalty and of the royal families to honor their ancestors. That's why there's a lot of confusion when people say, oh, but that goddess is that planet after they wanted to honor. And in their mythology, it showed that when this rogue planet that came out of the solar system got trapped in our orbit because of the gravity and everything, that it crashed into Ki. And when she broke in two, she had veins of gold. And that's all they knew. And they must be, but even back then, their science was so above, because the way they even talk in the tablets about, we're going to need particles of gold. And they also use their nukes for their volcanoes, because basically something about Nibiru, if I understand correctly, is a self-heated planet that radiates from the inside. It's a volcanic planet. Now, see, I have past life memories where I'm seeing reddish, pink, purplish skies, And I also don't know if it's 2 moons or 2 suns, but I always saw that. It was like this imagery that's been with me all my life. And so I was like really hoping that that was Nibiru, because it would make sense if they have a red atmosphere, considering what I've read so far. And basically their volcano stopped erupting. And something about that created this like almost buco dell'ozono, the hole in the ozone layer that they had. Now I'm just making that reference so that people understand here, like but that's what they had. That the environment, their sky was deteriorating, and that was causing women to not be fertile. There weren't any pregnancies. They didn't have food. Like these people were about like apocalypse times. They didn't have food. They didn't know what to do, and they were just trying everything. And these scientists and the royals. I believe it was Alalu, the king before Anu, yes. And he had usurped the throne from King Lamu, which was adopted. Right. And between these two is when it really got bad, between one reign and the other. And so Alalu was criticized because he didn't resolve the problem, but he studied a lot. And they were the ones that were like, let's get these weapons that we use on the volcanoes. They sent the nukes in the volcanoes so that to make the volcanoes erupt again, because they said that maybe if the volcanoes erupted again, it would fix the problem with the atmosphere. But that didn't work. So they had these weapons in their, what they call them, boats, in their ships, their boats, but those are spacecraft.
They're sky ships, basically, but they're boats. Yeah, there was.
Yes, there are a lot of texts where, like, I saw the word kind of boat. Something like that.
Yeah. But they always go up. They always go up into the sky. They never go out on the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, the thing is that you need to resonate with these words. You need to understand. The more you read the text, the more you realize what some words mean or not. So basically, they got that they did have a mission to go to the asteroid belt, shoot through them. Unfortunately, none of these plans worked out. They were unsuccessful, and the ships never came back. So they just left it at that. And the time that they did come to Earth, it was by per caso. It was by chance. It wasn't even done on purpose. It was because Alalu, the king that ended up being challenged by Anu, the king that was defeated in the combat, in the battle. And because he had usurped the throne from Lamu, the king before him, and he killed him, he thought that that was what Anu was going to do to him. You know, when you have a guilty conscience. So this guy, nobody said that they were going to off him. Anu just wanted the throne. There's nowhere that it says that they would have. They might have. They're kind of barbaric a little bit. I don't see them being very prissy.
No.
You know,
it was pretty tough, but he got nervous and fled. He was like, I gotta get out of here.
He jumped in one of these ships and he's like, bye, see ya. But he already had a plan. He just didn't share it with the others. That was his secret plan, to go to Earth. So basically he just like on the edge of his seat instinctively was like, okay, they're gonna off me, might as well just go. And he does. And this is the thing where I'm saying, this is proof that these stories are true, because how did the Sumerians know exactly how every planet was? Because in his journey through our solar system to get to Earth, he describes every planet, the size, the color, the rings around the planets. He describes everything.
All of it.
That right there, even to the biggest skeptic that I used to be, it's like, wait, if it was written thousands of years ago, how did they know? Because they saw it. That's
you had to see it. There's only one way. You have to see it.
Yes, there is no other way.
He cataloged them and he counted them on the way in towards the sun, towards us. He counted the planets. So he gave an out count and he cataloged the planets. Yeah. Incredible.
And so when he did this, for me, just by that, everybody should be silenced. Stop talking. I'm right. See, you're very nice to people. I'm not. I'm mean. When I am presented with ignorance and arrogance,
Yeah.
well, I'm also an intuitive empath, so I kind of like get that energy. I multiply it by 3 and I give it back. I can't even control it. Like sometimes I want to ignore and I don't.
Yeah.
And plus I'm Italian, so I have a bad temper. It's a thing.
Yeah. But you know what's you want to know what's interesting? The story of Superman and their planet is the same story as Nibiru.
Yes,
it's the same story. The DNA, the women can't have babies because the DNA is being riddled by the radiation from their sun.
Yes,
they're orbiting a brown dwarf, which is makes the planet darker than normal. And I believe that Nibiru is also orbiting a brown dwarf. So whoever wrote the Superman story had to get into these tablets.
Absolutely, yes. I've said it so many times, and I'm going to tell you one even more. House of Dragons, that used to be, what was it called before that?
House of Dragons. Something Throne? I don't know.
What's it called? Yes, Throne. Look at us.
Game of Thrones?
I'm so into the Sumerian things, I forget.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I bought the book of Game of Thrones, and I was reading the origin, and it mimicked the history on Nibiru. And I'm like, I don't care what anyone says. He read that story, and I'm not going to say he copied it because it's not identical.
No.
He read the story, definitely inspired by that.
Yeah.
And the Superman thing, absolutely. You know that scene where I'm thinking the Superman from when we were kids, where there's Superman's mom in the cave looking out? I have, that touched me so. That was the first time I got a flash of a past life where I'm in a scenario like that and I'm looking out and I said, these fools are going to kill us all. And the flash goes away.
Yeah.
When I saw that movie, like things in this lifetime have to happen to me to trigger a memory. I'm not like other people that sit down and can just do it. It's all random. It's all by chance.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Superman thing, you're the only other person that has said this, and that I totally agree.
And also, you have to realize another thing about the strength of the Anunnaki beings. So Superman comes from a planet that's 4 to 6 times larger than Earth. Now, if you are a person that grows up on a planet that's larger than the planet you're going to, you will have superhuman strength. And to prove this, if we as human beings growing up under this net gravity force here, if we go to Mars, both of us, you and I, can pick up a boulder that weighs about as much as a small car and throw it right now. Why? Because we grew up under Earth's gravity and we're going to a planet with 2/3 less gravity. I'd be able to jump as high as a 15, 20-foot basketball hoop and dunk it. Because why? Because I grew up on Earth's gravity. Now, after if we have a baby, that child will grow up in the gestation period under Mars gravity. Now, we'll have our DNA and genetics, so it will come out a little bit stronger, but not as strong as us. And then after that child, if they were able to mate and have another generation, that third generation then, or that second generation, I'm sorry, would for sure be normalized to Mars conditions and would be what we would consider to be weak, but they would be normal under Mars atmosphere.
But what if we also, like Enki did in Ninhursag, we go in there and we keep on tinkering with the DNA until we perfect it?
That's right.
Because that's what I think they were doing. I don't think that Adamu and Adapa are the same being. I think that Adamu was the first black-headed person, and they emphasize on the black hair. They really liked it. Yeah. The fact that they called them that means that they were fascinated by the black hair. I don't think they had black hair, and that's why, because to call them the black-headed people, if they had black hair, they wouldn't do that. Am I right?
No, yeah, they predominantly, they were, a lot of them had blondish hair or white hair.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. I was reading about the white hair, and that's where the Targaryens come in from Game of Thrones with the white hair. And another thing that connects the Game of Thrones with the Anunnaki is the fact that they have the dragons. And if you go into Draco mythology, now, I'm not saying that the Draco mythology is real. It's just a cool story. And that's what I tell everybody. Don't think that I believe everything that I tell you. I will tell you when I believe in something. But otherwise, I'm also just telling you a story because it's really cool. The Draco mythology starts on Tiamat, when Ki was called Tiamat. and it got its name from its reptilian queen, Tiamat.
Yeah.
And this Tiamat had 60-foot dragon kids. That's the mythology.
Yeah.
And they were on this planet before the alleged Nibiru came in and crashed into Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They knew it was coming because they were already an advanced civilization. And they decided to go to, how do you say, like refugees in the Orion constellation.
They became space refugees. Yeah, they fled to create new breakaway civilizations.
Yes, and they also commingled with the Lyrans. And basically, the children of the Lyrans and the Dracos were outcasts because they were neither or. They weren't accepted by one or the other. And eventually, they found this planet Nibiru where to go and start their civilization on. That's their mythology. Again, it could be all false. I'm not saying I believe it. The Sumerian, the Anunnaki stories, I really believe that. Like Thoth, the Emerald Tablets, all of that, I really believe them. And a question I want to ask you, is Thoth Ningizida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Thoth is Ningizida. He's got a lot of names, obviously. In Australia, I was so shocked.
And for those who don't know, Ningizida is Enki's son. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, Enki's son. He's Enki's son. In Australia, he's known as Thothamabi. And there's a huge petroglyph of Thoth in this giant, dried out stone area. It looked like it used to be a riverbed or something, and it's etched into the bed. And he's on what they call a skyship flying through the Milky Way. That's what the Aboriginal elders, and in Mesoamerica, or now obviously South America and Mexico and all those areas, he's got many in Kukulkan, Viracocha. I mean, you can.
And they all look alike. They all look alike, and they all have the. I think they're wearing headdresses. I always tell people, yes, I don't really think he had a bird head.
No.
I believe if I have to put myself in their position, if I'm one of them and I'm going through time as a god, I don't want them to see me as I was in the beginning. I have to present myself with theatrics also to impose dominance, to impose my importance. So I'm going to put crazy headdresses on. I'm going to put horns on. Horns are also, and the headdresses, I always tell people, they are the symbolism of important people, of royalty. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone was a demon with horns. It's a headdress. I make them myself.
Yeah. Somebody said in the live chat, Zeus. Yeah, there's so many versions. Mercury was also Thoth. I mean,
Hermes.
And Hermes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird for me because Hermes isn't very important, and I would assume that Thoth would have been more important than Hermes, like in the pantheon of the Greeks. I mean, he was the messenger. I mean, important, but lower key.
Well, the stories get twisted a little bit over time. You know how they go, and that's one of the newer versions of the ancient story. The original pantheon obviously was in Sumeria.
Yes.
But over time it just gets twisted and changed around. But Thoth, when I take people to Egypt, I take them to Enki's rejuvenation chambers, his halls of Amenti. And it's underground, about 58 feet underground. We walk through the desert for about 20 minutes, the Sahara Desert. I take them to this place underground, and I actually take them to these gigantic diorite stone boxes. And when you're standing in the halls, and there's halls along the side, it looks like a machine. And these things weigh anywhere from 500 to 1,000 tons. And when I take my Geiger counter, they're still radioactive. There's still radioactive energy coming out of them. It's just mind blowing. And so this stuff was real. All this ancient stuff is real.
Something move here. I said I was feeling pressure on my chest while you were just describing it.
Oh, it's so real. And you can tell by the technology that they used to carve out these underground tunnels. It was something that created vitrification. So it bored out the tunnels and it vitrified them all at the same time. So it sealed the tunnel as it bored. And then to the left and the right, there are these alcoves or these little halls. And inside of them are these megalithic crystal diorite boxes that cannot be maneuvered in there, can't be carved in there because it would need to be bigger to carve it down to the size that they are. It can't come through there's no way to get them there, basically. And there's one behind a door that we have a key to that nobody else can see. We get the key every year. We unlock that door and we go in, and I'm 6'4". This thing is taller than me. I can't put my hand straight up in the air, still can't touch the top.
Wow.
And it weighs well over 1,000 tons, and it has a radioactive symbol on the lid.
Now, when you read the stories in the books, and then you go to these places, you can really understand what was happening in the books.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I see these historians and I don't know how to say it in English, the people that research, like, for these lost cities, archaeologists, sorry, yeah. I'm always thinking in another language and translating. When they would say, oh, because there's this locked off door here in this pyramid and this other locked off door. Well, if you read the books, those locked off doors, it says exactly why they did it. It's once they were leaving a place. Number one, they didn't want humans getting their technology or seeing their things. They would seal everything, take everything out of it. Yeah. In Italian, we say la sventrata, like you take everything, you scoop everything out that's in there and you take it with you. If you just look at the Gulf War, are you going to leave your tanks and your technology there for those people to use it after you? No, you're going to take it home with you. Right. That's why we can't find the tech. Everyone's like, but if they had it, where is it?
It's gone. They took it
for you.
Yeah, and they broke all the pyramids. They broke the tops off the pyramids, so the pyramids function would be broken as well.
Now, here's another thing. I have this vision of the pyramids. When I saw them, it was a lucid dream. They were gold. They were shiny. That was shining. It was a surface that was shining. And I always ask myself if there was any truth to that. Now, in the books, I did find that they used to be like a smooth surface and that they would emit a light because they reflected.
They reflected a lot of sunlight. So the outer casing on the Great Pyramid, for example, had 144,000 casing stones that were pure white and that would reflect the sun.
Okay, there you go. See, now I understand why I was seeing golden, like the light. I kept on seeing this light and I just couldn't figure it out. Yeah, that's when I go in the books and I'm like,
and that's where the 144,000 comes from that made it into biblical texts and other religious beliefs. Even the Jehovah's Witness believe only 144,000 are going to make it into heaven.
Yeah, that's wrong. Doesn't it have to do with the children of light?
The children of light. Well, the pyramid itself, the 144,000 casing stones, is a metaphor for the children of light because the pyramid lights up from these stones. Everything everything they did with the pyramid, it referenced something else in the real world.
Plus, the halls of Amenti should be down there, right?
Oh, it is. I was down. Well, they just found that there's a huge underground chamber, which
we both did videos on that.
Yeah. And I just wrote a book. I just wrote the foreword to the book for Armando May, one of the top researchers on that project, the CAFRE project, that has the satellite that scans underground. And he just contacted me and asked me to write the foreword for his book. So I just wrote the foreword for his book, which is coming out, I believe, next month. So that was an amazing honor.
Now, is there any way to actually see, like, underground where these things are? Or
when I go to Egypt, I'm going to Egypt October 1st. I'm taking 100 people with me to Egypt again this year.
I used to do videos promoting your trips. You know that?
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You don't understand. I was just like, oh, my God. This is amazing. What you were doing. I think it was last year that I made a video about you.
Okay.
And it was a couple of months before you had to go. And you were talking about it. And I'm like, can you believe this? And I actually said, this is on my bucket list. One day I will go. And that's actually how I thought I was going to end up meeting you, by something like that.
Gotcha.
I had no idea that you were going to see one of my videos.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, you're not a clone, right?
No, I'm not a clone. I wish I had a clone. I really wish I had a freaking clone because I'm doing so much work. I'm about to get off of here in about 5 minutes because we have to end this soon. I have to go now and film for my online academy 3 straight hours. Then I got to stop that. Then I got to film ads, and then I have to stop that. Then I have to film pre-roll clips. And then I might get another break before, it gets too late, eat some dinner. So It's an all day grind, 24/7, 15 hours a day, 18 hours a day. It's just a nonstop thing. I wish I had a clone. I wish.
Look, my followers and we have a bet going on. I was like, now I said, until I meet him and I see that we're talking, I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you. I think that you're like me. You're a little bit of a shapeshifter yourself, because some days I look younger, some days look, I'm not kidding.
I just grind.
Weird.
Well, I was very sick for a while. I was really, really sick. First of all, I was a vegan. Going back about 7-8 years ago when I was first kind of on Gaia. I was on a vegan before Gaia, but by the time I got on Gaia, I was so sick. I was having internal bleeding, osteoporosis, autoimmune illness. I was taking prednisone every day just to keep the autoimmune rashes off my face, because I had to be on camera. I was down to 175 pounds at 6'4". That ain't sexy. And so finally I came to the realization that my diet was killing me from going to a particular doctor. I took a blood test. From there, I got back healthy by eating proper, working out, getting back in shape. And I was doing good for quite a while until I came down with that pneumonia, which almost took me out. I died 3 times in the hospital. I had organ failure. And then after I came out of the hospital, I was this color of this phone. I was this black.
Yeah.
I was so black. But that was my lack of oxygen.
Now, and you look different.
Yeah. So if you
I can vouch for everyone.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
real. I'm not
if I take away your oxygen right now, because you're much lighter than me, you'll start turning dark purple.
Well, so now I'm darker than what I come out in camera. I have tan skin.
I believe that because you're Italian. Yeah, you're Italian. But imagine if you had something stuck in your throat, like a chicken bone or something, you couldn't breathe, you would turn purple. Well, imagine me walking around only around 81 to 85% oxygen. That's the same effect. So I turn purple, but my purple is dark because I'm already brown. So I turn dark black. So when you saw me on like Lewis Howes, I filmed right when I got out of the hospital, like maybe a month after. I was still sick.
It makes so much sense now.
He didn't put it out until months. He didn't put it out until months later because of the whole online attack. He was waiting for it to die down. But that was done when I was really ill. When I got out of his office, I almost passed out from exhaustion. And it took me about 6 months to get back to my true color and get my oxygen levels. I have my sensor. My sensor is usually on this table, but I'm testing my oxygen levels all the time. I'm testing my blood pressure all the time because my heart was out of control.
You got so sick for so long because it's like a spiritual attack?
I think somebody tried to kill me. That's what I'm
getting that vibe. I didn't want to say it. I'm just saying.
I know who it is too, but it's okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, yeah, we have to wrap this one up because I have to get back to another project. But I want to thank you for coming on here. This has been an amazing podcast. You did an amazing job. You're a wealth of knowledge. Me. Yeah. As I said, tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, I'm huge on TikTok. I have 5 big accounts, always with my name, Cristina Bruno. I don't put the third last name there. On Facebook, same thing, Cristina Bruno-Dalola, like you wrote it. And then I have a YouTube channel, which is just where I put like videos from other places. Again, I always use my name, Cristina Bruno, Cristina without the H. And yeah, I just go. I go into a lot of ancient history, mythology, occult stories. If I hear something about extraterrestrials now, a lot of times I connect the dots with old things. I mean, cool. I have to say it is true. I am kind of like your counterpart.
Yeah. Okay.
It's as I said. You're a little bit older than me, and you were around before me, and I was always into these things. I just came into it by chance online, and I'm so happy it happened because I think we're doing a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone knows who the Anunnaki are now, and they didn't before.
Yeah, listen, it's all about spreading the word, getting people to learn how to do their own research, and I think we give enough information to people where they can take some of the key phrases that we say, and they can go look this stuff up for themselves.
Yes, that's what I say. Don't trust me. Get the book. Go read it. Do not trust me ever. I'm going to tell you what I think. If you trust me, that's fine. Good. If you don't, that's fine also.
Right. Get the book. Yep. Yeah, so I appreciate you. I wish we can talk a lot more, but I'll have you back on again. All right.
I was gonna say, let's do this again, because
Yeah.
I was totally not prepared. It is a last minute thing because Billy's so important. I actually called him His Majesty in one of my messages. But you're such a nice guy in person, and
Oh,
you
thank
do
you.
have a good energy, which
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
I'm
appreciate it.
gonna do some witchy woohoo to give you a little bit of protection here, because
Yeah, I need all the protection I can get. I
you
appreciate you.
do, you do.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you again next time.
All right, bye. Nice
Okay.
being
All
here.
right. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. I'll be back. I got to go to work again, guys. Peace. In an era shrouded in the midst of time, within the vast expanse of an uncharted cosmos, emerged the genesis of humankind. How did the odyssey of humanity begin? What secrets lie within our primordial roots? As I began to research ancient cultures, I discovered something quite interesting. Most of these ancient cultures all believe that life originated in the Pleiades. When you look at the indigenous North Americans, the Mayans, the Aboriginal tribes of Australia, the Egyptians, and even the Japanese, they all claim that they were seeded on this planet by people from the Pleiades. How can people separated by so many thousands of miles in different continents have the same exact story? There must be some fact rooted in the myth. This is the saga of the Anunnaki and their ancient secrets revealed.